We have yet to see all of the September releases, like that Black Pearl that's being rumored, but that hasn't stopped LEGO from showing us the Game Boy at San Diego Comic-Con. That's right, we are getting a 400 plus piece, nearly 1-to-1 ratio replica of the iconic handheld video game system. Now in this video, I'm going to tell you 3 things that I noticed about the set that I think is going to make it an instant classic and why it's going to be such a popular set. Even if that price tag is a bit interesting, let's dive in. The first obviously noticeable thing about this set is that it is one of those nostalgia traps that LEGO loves to give us, right? Sometimes they give us the video game systems like a Pac-Man or the NES. Sometimes they bring out an old set that they redo like the Eldorado Fortress, and it just pulls on those nostalgia heartstrings, right? We think back to a time when life was simpler and we didn't have as many responsibilities, and we just loved LEGO for what it was instead of always displaying our LEGO sets. But anyway, like it taps into that nostalgia that we really, really want to get back to from the 1980s and 1990s. And so this one definitely fits that right out of the gate. Right now, personally, I did not own a Game Boy. I owned a Game Gear, but we did of course have lots of friends who had the Game Boy, and we played a lot of it when we had sleepovers and we were getting together as friends to just hang out or birthday parties or things like that. So have a lot of experience on the Game Boy, and I have to say, looking at those images definitely brought me back to some of those really good times when I was a kid. And I think when you build the set, it's probably going to evoke the same emotions from you. And I have to give LEGO kudos for that. Like, they have definitely brought their A game when it comes to putting this out as a nostalgic reminder of yesteryear, the good old days, if you will. Of course, nostalgia alone is not enough to make this an instant classic or even a great set. I think there are other sets that try to do that and they don't quite reach the amount of hype that I'm seeing for this set. And that's because the execution of this set is incredible. So note that this is a 1-to-1 or nearly 1-to-1 replica of the actual Game Boy. Now it's 3.5 inches wide. It is 5.5 inches tall, and I think the original was about 5 3/4 or so. So it's about 1/4 of an inch short, and you can kind of notice that in a couple of spots. But really, this just is immediately spot on when you look at a lot of the details of the set. And to get at that, right? To get it to that level, the execution is top notch. Let's look at some of these details here, because I think you're going to be blown away. As you scroll your way up this set, you'll notice at the bottom on the left, you've got a bunch of pieces facing out that way that are from this rounded corner to get that smooth finish on that side. Then you have pieces that are facing out to create the smooth surface on the main part of the Game Boy. And look at the way that they construct the headphone jack. And then above that, you've got slopes that are facing down, some that are facing up, that create the angles where you can put in the start and select buttons, which look to be tire pieces. Next to that, you've got these really interesting, I think possibly new pieces for the A and B buttons. And then on the right, on the bottom, you've got a new printed piece and more pieces that are facing out to the right that get the smooth finish along that side. Unless you think that the crazy all-directional build stops there, well, check out the screen. There are 1x2 by 1 2/3 snot bricks that allow you to place the large window piece with the screens on its side while also attaching tiles on the left-hand side to keep it smooth, and on the right you've got more curved pieces that help mimic the shape of the actual screen, and more tiles facing out to that side to keep it smooth. Also, check out the gear that is used for the volume knob on the left-hand side and even the back. We don't get a lot of pictures of the back, but when you look at this, you see that the attention to detail doesn't stop at the front. Yes, this is probably going to be displayed facing forward, but you can put the cartridges in the game system. You've got the serial number, and you've got what looks to be the ridges for the battery holder. Even if you can't remove it, it's still there. And that's what's really, really impressive about this set. Even the game cartridges are really nicely constructed. There's so many details packed into a small section of the set that it is a high-level building experience, creative use of parts and angles. All of that stuff is present here, and I gotta say, like, that is a home run for LEGO. To a lot of fans, LEGO could have ruined this set by including stickers, but it looks like everything is printed. Even the game cartridges, which if I recall correctly, in the actual real-world Game Boy system, they were stickered, but these look to be printed. And that is something that is really, really fascinating on top of the lenticular screens that we get for this set. So let's look at some of these details. Starting from the bottom, again, the headphone jack 2x4 tile is really cool. I love how they have that printed. The select and start slopes, which is absolutely crucial that they print those because placing small stickers on slopes is a pain in the neck. You got the A and B button printing, the Nintendo Game Boy print that's below the screen, the dot matrix writing above the screen. On the back, you've got that serial number, and then the on-off switch decal. And yeah, even the battery status light, that is just incredibly well done. And I mentioned the game cartridges. They have, it looks like 6x6 tiles that are printed for Super Mario Land and Zelda. Plus we get 3 unique lenticular screens, the startup and one for each game that you can take in and out and choose whichever one you want to display. Again, LEGO went all in with the design on this set, and I'm glad that they did. It beats having crooked stickers and the frustration of trying to get small stickers onto small pieces and the sides of pieces and things like that. So with that in mind, like, LEGO did a good job with that. Of course, why did they do it on this set as opposed to other sets? And I think that's where we find some interesting dynamics when it comes to the price of the set. So let's check that out. So for the 3 reasons that I mentioned, right, the nostalgia, the incredible building techniques and promising building experience, as well as all those printed pieces, this is going to be a popular set. It wouldn't shock me if this goes on back order pretty quickly after midnight on October 1st when it is released. It wouldn't shock me if you go to the LEGO store on October 1st or a couple days thereafter and you can't find one of these. It's definitely, I think, going to be a popular set for fans of many ages. But I have noticed that LEGO is able to do something with the price here that is evoking one of 2 reactions from fans, right? It's $60 and you get 421 pieces, which is an absolutely terrible price per piece ratio. Now, on the one hand, you've got fans that are like, yep, just go ahead, take my money. This is a steal of a set. It's Game Boy, it's really well done, the printed pieces, totally worth it. And other people are like, hold on a second. Like, that's a terrible price per piece ratio. If this was a 1,000 piece set for $200 or $175, you would be complaining. Just like with some of the Star Wars sets that are released in August, right? This is not a good value. But LEGO, I think, is exposing why the price per piece ratio metric isn't all that valid, right? And it's because there's a price ratio, or a threshold, I should say, that needs to be met before people really are going to pick apart the price per piece ratio, the general fan. $60 isn't it. You know, you could say the upcoming Wall-E set that's rumored is double the piece count, has printed pieces, and is $10 more. Yeah, and it's a better value in that way. But LEGO knows that $60 is not a huge threshold for even kids to save up for, and certainly for adults. And even if you don't have that expendable income right now, it doesn't take a lot to save up $60. And that's where I think they do a really good job of getting. And again, it shows the flaws of price per piece ratio. It's not about how many pieces you get, it's about the value that you perceive you're getting from a set. And there are times when people will just throw that out the window in terms of, well, how many pieces am I getting? They don't care. And it's because the set is well executed. People don't have a problem paying that. I think a good comp for this is going to be the Polaroid set from a little bit ago, where the price per piece ratio wasn't very good, but they printed everything and it touched on that nostalgia and it was really well executed, and people bought that set. I don't know the financials of that set. I don't know what the profit margin was. I don't know how many copies it sold, but I think it is telling that it's one that I haven't seen go on sale. Not that I pay 100% super close attention to that, but I do pay attention to sales and deals, and it's one that is available for a long time, and it's not going on sale right away. And I think that shows you that there's a demand for that set. I think you're going to see that even more for this one. And again, people are going to see that as a really good value and something that is attainable rather than a 400 piece or $400 set where you don't get that many pieces. And Lego knows that. It's kind of a good play for them. And honestly, I was skeptical of getting this set. Now I want this set. It just hits every single checkbox of what I'm looking for in a Lego set, and it's $60. I'm okay with that. I don't know. Are you okay with it? Do you think the price is way too high for this? Are you aiming on getting this set on day one? Or are you trying to wait for a better deal? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and always remember to keep building together.